For decades, strange things have been washing up on Florida beaches. Bricks of cocaine, seemingly dropped by smugglers making their way to the U.S. But what happens when this illicit cargo gets into the hands, or rather, the mouths of sharks? Shark Week's Cocaine Sharks is diving deep into a bizarre and somewhat unsettling mystery. Could sharks be unknowingly ingesting cocaine from drug bales floating in the ocean? And if they are, how does it affect their behavior? Well, marine scientists are on the case, and they've uncovered something truly wild. Tom Hurd, marine biologist, says, "It's one of those stories that sounds so outlandish it could be straight out of a movie. But in reality, it's something we need to take seriously."
I can't imagine in any way that makes good sense.
Sharks that usually avoid human contact are suddenly swimming toward researchers, and that's not normal. It's like a light bulb went off in our heads. What if these sharks are actually ingesting cocaine? The team decided to test this hypothesis in the waters off Florida, a prime location for drug smugglers to dump their cargo.
Keep an eye on it and see if it chooses the swans or the bales.
Bales of cocaine have been found floating in the ocean for years, and researchers are now asking if this drug is affecting the very predators at the top of the ocean food chain. Tracy Fanara, environmental scientist, says, "To get to the bottom of this, we created a set of experiments. We dropped 2 objects into the water-fake swan and a faux bale of cocaine. We wanted to see what would happen, and guess what? The sharks weren't even remotely interested in the swan. Instead, they went straight for the cocaine bales. And it wasn't just 1 or 2 sharks. We had several actively approaching the packages. It was like they couldn't resist. It was bizarre. One of the sharks actually swam off with an entire bale. We're talking about a shark, which is usually very cautious, acting completely out of character. That's when we started thinking this be because of something in the water. Something in those bales? But it doesn't stop there. The team realized they were onto something bigger. They began noticing other odd behavior in the sharks. One hammerhead, typically shy and skittish around boats, swam right toward them. And then there were the tight circles and erratic movements. Was this a sign that the sharks were affected by something in the water? Was it possible that drugs were altering their brains? It's like sharks on a weird drug trip. They were acting like they were hyperactive, distracted, or completely fixated on nothing. It's what you'd expect from an animal exposed to some sort of substance. Something was definitely changing in their behavior. So, the next step was to simulate the effects of cocaine on sharks using a much safer, controlled approach. Enter fish meal, a concentrated powder that mimics the dopamine triggering effects cocaine would have on a shark's brain.
This is a legit study.
The results were explosive. We were just trying to replicate the effect of cocaine without actually using the drug. And let me tell you, when we dropped that fish meal into the water, it was like setting the sharks' brains on fire. They went crazy. We saw them start to frenzy, darting around and acting in ways we'd never seen before. It was like they were on a mission, and their focus was all over the place. In some ways, we had recreated the kind of behavior you might see in a drug-addicted animal. The team was stunned by what they witnessed, but the implications go far beyond just sharks. They began to realize that it wasn't just cocaine that could be polluting the waters. It's drugs, chemicals, and pharmaceuticals in general. Think about this: cocaine might be one of the more high-profile chemicals in the ocean, but it's far from the only one. We're talking about pharmaceuticals like antidepressants, caffeine, and other illegal drugs, all making their way into the water. These chemicals are altering the ecosystem in ways we can't fully understand yet. And it's not just about the sharks. These drugs are entering the marine food chain. Fish are swimming through these contaminated waters, eating food laced with these chemicals. And then we end up eating those fish. It's a cycle that's seriously disturbing when you start to think about it. No one wants to be eating fish that's been swimming through a chemical waste dump. The broader message here isn't just about sharks and cocaine. It's about the entire ocean ecosystem and the growing threat that pollution, especially chemical contamination, is posing to marine life. With sharks at the top of the food chain, their disappearance could signal a much larger problem affecting everything below them. Sharks play a crucial role in keeping marine ecosystems healthy. They're the top predators, and they help regulate the populations of fish lower down the chain. If sharks start to disappear, that means the whole ecosystem could collapse. It's not just an issue for marine biologists, it's an issue for the entire planet. As the team delves deeper into this strange case of cocaine sharks, it's clear that the effects of pollution and drug contamination go far beyond the bizarre headlines. Our oceans are more polluted than ever, and we may be eating the consequences. People often forget that the ocean is the lifeblood of the planet. It regulates our climate, provides food, and supports billions of species, including us. If we keep polluting the seas, we risk destabilizing entire ecosystems and our future. As Discovery Channel's Cocaine Sharks shows, what might seem like a ridiculous, over-the-top scenario could be an early warning sign of a much deeper environmental crisis. We need to wake up. The oceans aren't just some distant part of the planet. They are part of us. We rely on them for everything, from the air we breathe to the food we eat. It's time to take better care of our oceans before it's too late. Cocaine Sharks premieres this week during Discovery Channel's Shark Week. Don't miss this thrilling dive into the world of sharks and the surprising ways drugs might be affecting them. It's a story you won't believe, but you'll want to know. It's not just about cocaine in the ocean. It's about our responsibility to protect the waters that keep the planet alive. So, watch Cocaine Sharks and learn more about the real-life consequences of what we dump into the sea. You might just think twice about that fish fillet next time. The ocean's not just for sharks, it's for all of us. Let's make sure it's healthy for generations to come.